Okay, so what we're having is a Dewalt 734 planer, and the motor is gone because, as you see, if I turn it on, you'll see a boatload of sparks coming there, and it's going to trip the power supply. Here it is. So now what we need to do is fix the motor. It looks like the armature in here is shorting out, which is why you're seeing that, and the motor is tripping the breaker. So what we're gonna have to do is remove the motor, fix the armature, put it back, and make sure that we're not gonna be seeing the flashes there, and this is going to work smoothly and continuously. Now the first thing to do is, in this case, is undo the power supply, which we've done. They provide a tool with it. This tool has got a Torx head on it. The problem is these 4 Torx bolts here on top that need to be removed are fairly stripped. I don't know, I got this from a guy who probably stripped a majority of those. So this thing works for a couple. It works for this nut, and it works for one of the other nuts, which is probably this. For the other 2, I had to get a special tool. So I ordered this from Amazon. This is a Work Pro, and quite a beefy Torx head, which wasn't as...
What's the measurement
stripped,
on that Torx
yeah,
head?
which wasn't as stripped as this one over here. You can see it being stripped, right? So this is a
CR-V30.
so this T30. Have to put it in there, and then you have to knock it into place completely, and use a socket. Use a socket driver and loosen it. And so that worked out. And then finally, for this nut over here, it was completely, all the threads were completely gone. And so I had to get this from Amazon. This is an Amartison bolt extractor. And then you take one of these bolt extractors.
Which size? Read it off.
Yeah, you take one of these bolt extractors. So this is like a 13 millimeter bolt extractor, which can do anything from, according to the booklet, it can do 13 millimeters right there, and it can do slightly larger than a 9/16. You have to take it, and you have to take a hammer and get it hammered in directly so that it's well. I've already hammered it in, and you just take it out, gently hammered in, and once it holds the
screw in place,
once it tightly holds the bolt head, you just start loosening it, and you can use the same ratchet that you use. So this is a 1/2-inch ratchet. You can use a ratchet, and and the nut eventually comes out completely. And just to make my point, let me show you how badly dinged up the Torx head is. You see in the inside here, it's completely stripped, and you can't hammer anything in there to be able to extract it out. In contrast, if you were to take a look at one of these, it's slightly better. Let's put one of these, which is still able to grab. There's still a little bit capability for this to be able to hold on to it and turn it around. So that's how you undo the top of the DW734 in order to be able to remove the top cover, so we can start accessing. So this, once you take this off, it's easy to lift the top cover off. And then you still have to undo this here, and you should be able to lift. So what happens now is you should be able to take all these bolts out. I'm gonna have to change them anyways because all the bolts are stripped out, so they're no value, so I'm gonna have to change them. These are supposed to be Torx, but as you see, they're all fairly stripped, and so they're useless. And so the next step is for me to be able to take this out like so.
Just
and now,
sliding it off of those 4 support rails.
yeah, and now I have access to the motor, and I need to be able to remove the motor. But before I need to remove the motor, I need to remove this protective covering here and the protective covering on the back, which houses the belt, the drive belt there. I don't know if it's
a good
visible.
enough view.
Yeah. So once we do that,
Bugger.
we should be able to take it all out and remove the motor from the assembly here and get it fixed. Looks like there's a nut here and there's another nut here, and then I should be able to remove the motor assembly out. For now, this is what we've taken out. So let's just move it to a safe place. Keep all our tools nicely organized and take it from there. So my goal with this is to remove the motor so that we can fix the armature in it. And in order to remove the motor, there are a couple of screws. I need to first take the side panel out and unbolt and remove the chain link assembly here, and then on this side unbolt that cover there and remove the belt. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is now remove this guard here so that I can access the chain drive and be able to remove the motor by removing the sprockets and the chain here. So in order to remove this protective covering over the sprockets, there's 2 Phillips screws here, and I'm going to use my Dewalt and a Phillips head to undo that. Looks like I might have to pull it up a little more up on top. Lift it up as much as it's going to go. Let me see if I can still access it. Doesn't look like I can use my power driver here, so I might have to use a handheld screwdriver to undo that. So what I'm going to do now is I have this Dewalt angle accessory here, so I'm going to access. There's 4 screws down here and another one, and there's 2 screws and a third screw, 2 screws and a third screw that holds this cover in place. So I'm going to try and undo that. Looks like they're tightly held, so I'm going to try a little WD-40 to loosen them up. So the screws that I need to undo are right here. There's one, there's another, and the same thing on this side. If you look underneath here, you'll find 2 there and another third here. Once you undo those, then this shroud here that covers the sprocket side will come out, and you can access the sprockets and take the sprockets out separately. So I had a little bit of luck with my little nubby husky screwdriver, I was able to loosen those screws. Those 3 screws. Same thing on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on that side. And then voila, the cover comes out, and now you can access the sprockets on the side. There's a lot of dust here. There's a lot of dust here too, but now it's possible to use circlips, remove those clips, and the chain mechanism can be taken out, or the chain drive can be taken out. So this area is a bit messy, so I'm going to see if I can vacuum it out with my trusty handheld vacuum.
Be fucking real, man. Come on.
Use a little toothbrush to get to the nooks and crevices. Get all the wood debris dislodged. Now the bearing clip is visible, the spring is visible, the whole 9 yards here, and I'll run the vacuum one more time. So that now it's cleaned, all I need to do is remove that clip there. It's called a circlip. You can remove that, or the bushing clip, and then what will happen is that sprocket will slide out, and then that will allow me to move my motor out on this side. And I have to do the same thing for removing the belt on the other side, so that the motor assembly can then be loosened and removed. So the next step now is to remove these circlips or snap rings out. You need a snap ring removal tool. You just put your snap ring through try to hold it tight, and you have to Gets a little tricky, but you take it out. The snap ring comes out. Keep it safe. And then the socket's supposed to slide out. But since the chain is pretty tight, it looks like I have to remove these other snap rings also. Remove this before that's going to come out. So let's get to it. If you will notice carefully, there's a little groove in which the snap ring sits. It needs to go into that groove before this will come out nice and clean. So one thing that you have to notice is you have to just push the sprocket just a little beyond the snap ring groove so that the snap ring will settle down and the spacing this way across the machine will be correctly held by the chain here. So you can slide it out nice and easy. It's got these locating pins for the key. So let's set that right there. Try and wedge this out. Maybe a little bit of WD-40 here to ease the path. That is very tight. That's probably what's causing the motor to burn out. So these two sprockets were very tightly positioned on the inside, and I'm kind of wondering if that's one of the reasons why the motor started to run into problems and the armature burnt out prematurely. So that's something that we need to look into carefully while I'm putting it back. It looks like the chain is very, very tight. So now this side has been taken out and the spring needs to go here, and this needs to go and hold on to those, and I'm gonna try and see if I can looks like a spacer there. So there's another extra spring that's fallen down. I got to figure out where that goes. So these two are the clips that are holding the protective shroud around this, like so. So I'm going to get a Ziploc bag to store all of this side carefully so that when I put them back, I know where they go. Okay, so now that I've removed this side, I think it's just a matter of being able to do the same thing on the other side so that now the motor is no longer connected to any of the drive mechanisms, and then by undoing the motor screws, the motor unit can be taken out. It looks like the drive rollers are going to come out real easy. So this is the belt side. The other side was the chain side. On the belt side, I need to undo this one right here so that the belt will slip off. And then the motor can be removed directly from this point on. So I'm gonna try and see how to remove the belt mechanism here, because this is it's a grooved pulley, so it's gonna take a little bit of tugging to get it out. So in this step, I'm gonna have to try and work the belt out slowly by turning and pushing against it. I want to use this flathead to see how I can accomplish that.
Bro. Be fucking real, man. Come on.
It is a bit tight, but it's almost there. There it is. The belt's out. It looks like it's in pretty decent shape. I don't think there's any problem with the belt. There it is. Yeah, I'm gonna save it. And now I should be able to get the motor out. So now I've got the belt removed, the drive belt removed. I've removed the chain on the other side. Now what remains to be done is to get the motor out, is I'm going to turn this on the side so I can access the belts easily from the bottom. And so to do that, I'm going to start by laying this on the side like this. Close it. Lay it on the side. And a little bit of cleanup on the bottom. in order to remove the motor out, I'm gonna have to remove, there's bolts tucked in here. There's one bolt, there's another one there, there's another one there, and there's another one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I take those out, they look like they're Allen heads. And if I take them out, I should be able to slide the motor out slide the motor out that way. So that's what I'm going to do. So right now I'm going to loosen those, and then once I've loosened those, this one I'm taking out, I'll show you how the motor comes out. So I've loosened these and loosened these. I can take it out. These look like 5 30-second Allens. That's what I used, and this is the last of those. So once I take these, I took the other two on that corner and that corner. Once I take this out, I'm hoping that the motor should slide out. So I've taken all of those. On the far end were those two silver nuts, or zinc coated, and then this is it looks like they're galvanized or steel, I don't know. These are the regular black Allens. So although I've removed the Allens holding the motor, there's still a little bushing protector here, like a strap. I got to remove the strap so that I can move the motor and try to tilt it out and pull it out this way. So it was easy to remove that strapping there by just undoing that single screw there, and the strapping came out. And then you also have to worry about this grounding cable there and this wire being held by a screw there, so you have to undo that one and the grounding cable before the motor assembly can be lifted off. And this is the back side of the Dewalt 734. So after undoing that screw there, this ground clamp comes free. So now the motor can be hopefully lifted out, and then we can service the motor separately if we have to change the armature or something like that. So I'm going to try and see if I can wiggle the motor out of its place. Looks like this needs to come out too. This and this, so that the motor can be lifted up vertically. So let's see. It's got a couple of screws here. One. Two. And I got to do the same thing on that side. So here we are at the last stage. Once you've undone these clamp mounts, you can take it out, and I've actually removed the motor, but that's how the motor sits, and you can just gently lift it off from here and the motor will come out, and that's really how it ends. So you can, I'm going to put the camera down and lift it for just a second, and there you have it. The motor comes off, you can lift it, and it's got a little pin there that you got to be careful, but then it just allows you to mount the screw holes correctly, the bolt holes correctly. It's got a pin here and a pin there, and you've got corresponding holes at the bottom of the motor to accommodate for those pins. So you see the pin, there's one pinhole there without any threads, and then that's where it sits. And there's another one here right below here. So you can lift it off, and then that's how you take the motor out and get the motor repaired. So in the next video, we'll talk about how to assemble the motor and get the planer all set up.